This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. Adding to a declining snowmobile industry, Arctic Cat announced it's suspending its operations indefinitely. Their plants in Thief River Falls and St. Cloud, Minnesota will cease. The announcement from the company cites ongoing business conditions facing the powersports industry. Arctic Cat says it will continue to sell 2025 model snowmobiles throughout the year. Arctic Cat's competitor Polaris is also facing challenges. Polaris's snowmobile segment has reported an average decline of 18% year over year. Another big name in the snowmobile industry, Yamaha. They announced in 2023 it would be leaving the snowmobile industry after more than 50 years in the market. This comes after snowmobile trails in Wisconsin didn't even open last year. And Wisconsin's frozen road law is in effect for a part of the state. Melissa Kay has more.
On December 21st, the northern half of Wisconsin will have increased weight limits for log haulers and transportation of road salt and sand. This region is designated as Zone 1 and 2 by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. It includes US 10 near Stevens Point and numbered state and federal highways north of US 10. The frozen road law takes effect once the ground under highway pavement is frozen to a depth of at least 18 inches. The seasonal weight restriction program is one way to protect Wisconsin's investment in roads. Frozen road determination for other areas of the state will be made when conditions warrant.
And the city of Schofield is hoping a grant will help them expand public access on Lake Wausau. The money would help buy a little over 1/10 of an acre parcel of land. The Wisconsin DNR says that the city applied for a 50% matching grant from the Nelson Stewardship Program. And if the city gets the land, they say visitors can enjoy fishing, hiking, limited trapping, and an area for picnics. But because the land is so small and close to homes and buildings, the DNR is proposing hunting and some trapping not be allowed. The human case of the bird flu has been confirmed. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services has received the confirmed positive test results from the CDC. The collected specimens were from the human case of the highly pathogenic avian influenza in Barron County. The human case follows an infected flock of commercial poultry identified in Barron County, and this person had exposure to that flock. The DHS is monitoring farm workers who may have been exposed and said the risk to the general public remains low. People who work with infected animals or have recreational exposure to them are at a higher risk. And the virus does not spread easily from animals to people. So people who have gotten sick with bird flu have been in direct contact with infected animals. Symptoms of the bird flu in people include a sore throat, fever, muscle aches, cough, and eye infections. And after the Iowa-based poultry company Pure Prairie Poultry abandoned farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, farmers were left to deal with the abandoned chickens. Here in Wisconsin, that left contracted farms without thousands of birds and no way to feed them. So farmers had no choice but to give them away. State veterinarian Dr. Darlene Kunkel.
So these birds, these latest two cases, probably got exposed very shortly prior to exhibiting clinical signs within hours or days. So we don't see a connection there with that other incident with the poultry company.
And what was supposed to be a day of recreation for 3 Wausau Army recruiters turned into a rescue mission. Out ice fishing, they heard someone cry out for help. Then they noticed someone waist deep in the ice and sinking quickly. With the ice broken a good 6 to 10 feet all the way around him, they tied their jackets together by the sleeves and pulled him out. But the danger wasn't over yet. They had to get him out of his freezing wet clothes before hypothermia set in. They did just that, and the ambulance arrived, and the accolades have poured in from across the area and across the state. One of the victims from last week's shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison has ties to our area, Ruby Vergara, and community members have been stepping up to help her family. At Friday night's boys basketball game between Stratford High School and Edgar High School, fans held a 50-50 raffle, and they raised $2,220, which goes directly to Veraga's family. This follows Tuesday night's game against Marathon High School, when Stratford raised $1,200 through their 50-50. Veraga's mother graduated from Stratford and was the valedictorian of her class. And Wisconsin has a hard time retaining teachers. Data shows that 4 out of every 10 first-year educators either leave the state or the profession altogether, and that happens within their first 6 years of teaching. State Superintendent Dr. Jill Underly proposed $59.5 million in new investments aimed at recruiting and retaining Wisconsin educators. Under the proposal, stipends would be provided to eligible student teachers to help cover expenses and reduce debt. A new state-funded Grow Your Own grant program would help grow the workforce. And the Wisconsin's Farmers Union re-elected Darren Von Ruden as president after last weekend's 94th annual state convention in Wisconsin Dells. Melissa Kay has more.
Von Ruden has represented the organization's District 5 as director since 2008. Von Ruden's focus as president of the Wisconsin Farmers Union is to be sure family farmers have a seat at the table when decisions are made. Delegates at the convention voted to prioritize 5 special orders of business for 2025. These include concentration in the agriculture industry, resolution to create fair maps from a nonpartisan procedure for the preparation of legislative and congressional redistricting plans, quality health care in Wisconsin, continued and expanding funding of the WI-LFPA program, and combating climate change in farming.
AAA says that a record-breaking 121,000 Wisconsinites will fly to their holiday destinations this year, and some of you may be using Central Wisconsin Airport to get there. The airport director says they're expecting full flights for both their Delta and American Airlines. And for almost 30 years, the DNR has been recognizing ethical hunters who honor the outdoor tradition responsibly, respectfully, and safely. Melissa Kay has more.
Established in 1997, the Ethical Hunter Award goes to the nominee showing exceptional moral actions and character while out in the field. A 5-person committee reviews the nominations and selects the person deemed most deserving. Examples of award nominations can include helping other hunters find lost game, assisting novice hunters, or protecting natural resources. Anyone can nominate a licensed Wisconsin hunter for their actions during the 2024 calendar year and can be for any hunting season throughout the state. Written nominations must also contain the name, address, and telephone number of the witness or witnesses. Nominations must be submitted by mail or email by January 31st. You can find out more at dnr.wisconsin.gov.
And gas prices increased over the past week, rising over 3.5 cents for an average across the state of $2.81 per gallon. Despite the expected increase, prices in the state are still 5 cents per gallon lower than a month ago, but over 7 cents higher than this time last year. Officials at Gas Buddy say prices may hold near recent levels this week. However, in our area, stations will likely be rolling back prices after the recent hikes in comparison with nearby gas stations. So it will pay to check the prices before you fill up, and you may be able to save as much as 25 to 50 cents per gallon depending on where you go. Prices in central Wisconsin today range from $2.48 to $2.84 per gallon. I'm Brittany Merlot for WXCO.
The Badgers win at home. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. College basketball, Wisconsin with a 76-53 victory over the Detroit Mercy Titans at the Kohl Center. A good performance from Stephen Crowell and Nolan Winter, who had a double-double. Head coach Greg Gard.
I thought the two bigs, Crowell and Winter, were good, were efficient. Obviously, the numbers bear that out. Nolan's ability to rebound at a high level, get to the line. We didn't shoot the three great, but I thought we had really good looks and defensively did a lot of good things to keep the ball out of the paint.
NBA, the Bucks in Chicago tonight against the Bulls. NFL, Saints head coach Darren Rizzi says, although Alvin Kamara is out for tonight's game, he'll rely on his other running backs, including former Packer Jamal Williams.
Kendrick can kind of pick up where he's left off the last couple of weeks. Jamal Williams has had many, many games in that division, in that stadium, and he's had some really good ones. Obviously played for them and played within the division with Detroit, so he's got experience there. I think, between Kendra and Jamal and Jordan Mims, like I said, I think you'll see all those guys at some point during the game. It is going to be a committee approach, and I think we got to do a great job of accentuating the positives of each of those players.
Kickoff tonight at Lambeau Field, 7:15. The Saints are 5-9, but Matt LaFleur says he's not taking them lightly.
This is the National Football League. You better get yourself ready to go, otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Fans of the show The Office should definitely check out the Office Ladies podcast hosted by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. Fisher played Pam in The Office and Kinsey played the incredibly judgmental Angela. The two regularly share inside info about the show, like that Amy Adams almost did not get the role in the season 1 finale as the hot girl because they thought she looked too much like Jenna Fisher. Someone else was cast, but even after a day of shooting, producers realized that she wasn't right for the role and gave it back to Adams. Adams did a total of 3 episodes episodes in the role of Katie, who ended up dating Jim. If you're looking for a good holiday binge series, here's a Pete pick. Black Doves on Netflix. Keira Knightley leads a solid cast and plays a spy as her character seeks revenge on the organization that killed her lover. The lover is not her husband, who happens to be the ambassador to China. I'm 3 episodes in. So far, so good. 28 Years Later is the third installment of the 28 Days franchise. It is the first installment in a new trilogy that starts with 28 Years Later. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple will be the second installment in the new zombie trilogy and is scheduled for release on Martin Luther King Day in 2026. 28 Years Later opens June 20th, 2025. Billy Bob Thornton likes to play loose and less predictable roles. That was his answer when asked why he turned down popular villain roles. In an interview with Deadline, the actor said he turned down roles in Spider-Man as the Green Goblin and as an arms dealer in Mission Impossible 3. Thornton says he had no interest in sitting for 5 hours while being made up green, and in regard to Mission Impossible 3 says he didn't want to be the guy trying to kill Tom Cruise, adding that when you are a bad guy on that level, that is how people remember you. He's right. I still can't get Sling Blade out of my head. HBO is making a preemptive renewal for Dune Prophecy. The network announced ahead of last weekend's Season 1 finale that there will be a Season 2. The show that stars Olivia Williams and Emily Watson is a prequel based on the novel called Sisterhood of Dune. All 6 episodes of the season can be viewed on Max. The Brutalist is currently playing in theaters and has received incredible reviews. The film stars Adrian Brody, who threw himself into the role, saying it was very fulfilling to work himself into exhaustion. The way Brody described the casting process sounded exhausting too, as he was cast, then replaced, then ultimately found his way back into the lead role of a Jewish architect relocating to America after the Holocaust. Brody and the film are receiving great reviews and serious Oscar buzz. If you plan to check it out, though, pack a lunch, as the film is a healthy 3.5 hours long. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We have a winter weather advisory that remains in effect through this morning for some freezing drizzle and light snow. We could get an inch or two of accumulation by the time it all winds down here later today. 31 our high, tonight down to 20, tomorrow partly cloudy, 30, Christmas Day cloudy, high of 32. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently it's 28.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.